Hey everybody, welcome back to Terps Esports, live from College Park. My name is Lily.
And my name is Hayden. We are back in spring, and it's been a rainy Monday, but the lights started to show a little bit ago. You know what they say, sun's out, guns out, and your Terps tonight definitely have their guns prepared. Ready to take on another team. Tonight, the co-ed Academy team is taking on Queen's University, the classic best-of-3 Valorant match.
So like Hayden mentioned, tonight will be a regular season best of 3, meaning the first team to achieve 2 map wins will also win the series. In tonight's pre-show, we're going to run through each player as well as take a close look at each of their roles. And we're also going to get an interview in with the team's flex player, Boyd. He's actually a new addition to this roster, so it's going to be super important to have to hear what he's got to say.
Yeah. So before we jump into the game, let's start with the rules of your typical Valorant match. If you've never played the game before, Valorant is an objective-based FPS game where teams of 5 players compete in 2 12-round cycles against each other. The main objective of the game is to plant the spike, defend the spike, manage economies, and create strategic plans to dominate each round.
And like Hayden mentioned tonight, the Terps are going up against Queens. This is the first time this season that we have had our Academy team in the studio, so I'm sure they are super excited to be here. The NECC season is winding down, so it's really important for the Terps to keep wins going their way if they want to keep their postseason hopes alive. The Terps are currently sitting at a 4-2 record, which is pretty good.
I mean, on the note of pretty good, congratulations to our Game Changers team who placed second at the Bloom LAN hosted at George Mason University. Additionally, congratulations to our Overwatch team who won the title at the LAN. Stay tuned tomorrow for a very special stream where our Overwatch team will be competing against our rivals, the University of Michigan, for the BEC Championship.
Oh, so now it is time for us to introduce you to the members of the team, and like I mentioned, we're going to be taking a look at each of their specific roles.
Here we are starting at the tip-off of tonight's game featuring Salamander. As an initiator, the team is relying on Salamander to use his utility in order to make fights more favorable. He also plays an important role in gathering information for the rest of the team to work off of.
Coming up next, we have Swirls breaking ankles as the team's duelist. His job as a duelist is to take space for the rest of the team by winning those early round fights, which will impact the outcome of rounds later on.
Setting up the pick and rolls for the team is Peaches as the controller. As a controller, Peach's main job is to secure sites on the attack and to hold down the fort on defense. Where and when he decides to place his smokes will heavily influence the outcome of each round. We've seen him pull off great plays on Omen before, so I'm really excited what he's going to do tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And next on the roster, throwing up a lob is Cloud. He is the team's sentinel, meaning that he's the group's defensive expert. His role is to keep an eye on the other team's movement and to make the team aware of any flanks.
Now our final player is Void. He's actually a new addition to the roster this semester, so let's take a quick look at his role.
Certainly. All right, to close things out with the slam dunk is Void. He is the team's flex player. His ability to pick nearly any agent, depending on the team's current composition, is what gives the team such versatility. And Void is going to be joining us in the studio for a quick little interview. So please join me in shortly welcoming Void into the studio. Hi, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm great. I'm getting ready to get into this game. So to start things off with an easy question, could you just tell me how your spring break was? What did you spend your time doing?
My spring break was awesome. I went up to New York to hang out for a little while, see the sights, and then I came back and I grinded Valorant.
Oh, nice. Okay, so you're ready for tonight's match is what I'm hearing.
So ready.
Love to hear it. And moving on, how could you describe your season so far on this Academy team for us? Like I said, this is the first time you all have been in the studio, so we're kind of catching you guys late in the season. How have things looked for the beginning part of the semester?
So I actually wasn't starting on the team at the beginning of the semester. I started as a 7th man, working my way up to 6th, and then I've been starting for the past several weeks. So I've been there, I've been watching, and we've looked really good. We've definitely gone through a lot of development as a team. We've gotten a lot better, especially with some of the role changes that we've been doing. And with me coming into the roster, it's switched up a bit as well. But I'm really excited, and I think that we're going to do great.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch you guys play. And to close things out, I do want to test your Valorant knowledge with some trivia. First question, how far in in-game meters can you throw an Omen smoke?
Oof. That's a good question. I play controller too, I should know this.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 75-ish meters.
Close. It is 80.
Okay,
Very
all right,
close.
yeah.
Okay, next question. What gun has the fastest firing rate?
Gotta be the Stinger, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
It is the Stinger. And second to last question. What is the reload speed of the operator?
Maybe 2.5 seconds.
Close. It's 3.7 seconds.
okay.
It takes so long to reload. Okay,
Ramel's
definitely.
our opera, not me.
Right.
Yeah,
Hey,
don't blame me.
We'll leave it to him. And final question: which agent says this voice line? I have time for a selfie before we leave? Right. I'll be fast. What agent is that?
Is it Neon?
Close. It's a duelist.
Raze?
Not Raze. Recently added into the game.
Waylay?
Less recent.
Less recent than Waylay. But a duelist? Oh, ISO.
100%. It is ISO.
Of course. Okay.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck during your match tonight. And make sure to tune back in after a brief commercial break to catch map number 1.
And I think by the end of the season, like now, we play together, everyone kind of jokes around a little bit more and kind of shines their natural ray. We're excited just to see them play better as well.
With the middle school program, the best part has been seeing the moments of teamwork where the middle schoolers really seem to get the game, and so that's when you can see they're starting to get a little bit hooked on how esports can be so fun.
Game, or will red turn things around?
Terp Adventures. Take flight at Stamp. Host to countless Maryland events, programs, performances, and more. Feed your body, feed your mind, feed your soul. Let your talents soar. Dance, sing, perform, find your thing. Join more than 800 student organizations and clubs. Find community here. Leadership lives here. Art thrives here. With space to grow. We're all just kids at heart. Let your imagination fly. Compete. Play. With wings on our feet. Here your spirit can fly. Here your soul lifts up. Here you remember those who came before. This is STAM. This is the center for campus life, where Terp adventures take flight. You belong here. Come fly with us.
welcome back. We're about to head into map number 1, and Hayden has the whole layout for you for almost the full series.
Yeah, so we're still waiting to hear on map 3, but we have some 2 exciting choices going before. So our first map tonight is going to be Icebox, and your Terps will be starting on defense, which I'm pretty excited. Like,
I love Icebox.
Yeah, we don't see Iceboxes, or at least I don't see Icebox as much as I do in the casting booth, but Icebox is a really fun map to watch.
It just came back into the competitive pool. It has not been here. In the beginning of the semester, you can play Icebox.
That would explain why I haven't seen it in a
yeah. So it just came back. So it's fresh for everybody. And the map has changed a little bit. Mostly on B site, there have been a lot of changes, but for the most part, it's the same.
Renovations here and there, you know,
Right.
some extra detailing. But yeah, so going into our second map, we have Split, and your Terps will be starting on attack.
Yeah.
Split, yes. Starting an attack on Split. I mean, we've seen this a lot in like past matches. Like, you have to have a really good like mental fortitude to get through that first half on Split. So I don't think that was their map, unless it was, and maybe, you know, they're cooking something up, which, you know, I wouldn't be that sad to hear. I'd love it when they cook something different up. But, you know, this is the Academy team. This is the first time they're in the studio this season. So, you know, we haven't really seen much of their playstyle yet. So I'm really excited to see some of the new things that, you know, they've developed over the last coming weeks.
Yeah, we're going to see a completely fresh team that we haven't seen all semester, and fresh maps as well. Split, another one that was not in the competitive pool for a while and has now made a return. Don't believe there's any changes on Split, however, but I'm really excited. Split, another map that I do like, that I think it's a hot take, but I like Split a lot. Like you said, being on the attack, what a power move if that's their pick, because Split, definitely.
It's a bold statement.
Yeah,
right there.
yeah, definitely a defensive-sided map, especially considering certain compositions. Like Cypher's heavily favored on this map, you know, which makes
like a Cypher, Sage, Deadlock we've seen. Deadlock has been crazy on Split. Like, I know a few games with the Premier team where like Deadlock has ravaged those games. It's insane.
Yeah, Deadlock becoming more and more popular, I think, at least on certain maps with the new, you know, map pool. I wonder if she's also got to be good on Icebox, I think, especially on A site.
That Deadlock and Sage, I think, are probably one of the bigger ones. You could throw a Killjoy in there sometime, but I think the main ones are probably Deadlock and Sage. Didn't Deadlock get a nerf recently?
I think
feel
so.
It wasn't like that recent, but I'm saying like, I want to say like maybe like a month and a half ago or something. I just remember seeing Valorant post or Riot posted something about it. You know, just a few character nerfs or character changes here and there. I happened to see that Deadlock was on there, so I don't exactly know what they did. We could probably get that information in a little bit, but.
Yeah, it better be for that wall.
Yeah, the wall is really annoying because I'm like, I know in my ranked games at least, I'm sitting there for good, who knows how long,
minutes.
trying to minutes, hours, like eons maybe, trying to like destroy that wall. So I don't know. That's probably one of the most annoying things, at least in my opinion, in Valorant. So, you know, Riot's doing a good job at trying to balance the game, and you know, we're just here to watch because I mean, you know, with all these agent balances and changes, you know, there evolves some kind of new composition. So, you know, us as casters, we get to enjoy and watch what these teams have been able to come up and cook with these agent changes.
Yeah, and the Academy team right now has got to be their best all season. They've had all semester to work, all semester to get where they are, and playoffs for the NECC are on the horizon. They have a pretty good record at 4-2, but they've got to, you know, bump that record up even further if they want a promising playoff run. But hey, we're at the point of the semester where, you know who you are as a team, you know what compositions work for you, you know what doesn't. The only thing I could see kind of throwing off their you know, kind of stability is these new maps that we're seeing, and also the fact that they're in the studio for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, you know, being in the studio can cause a little bit of pressure, but it's a very great environment. I mean, we've talked to a bunch of players and they all like love being in the studio. So I can't imagine what these players are thinking. Like, you know, they have to be excited, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you know, I played on the for the Marvel Rivals part for the Giving Day stream. And I mean, even just playing at one of the PCs, I'm like, oh my lord, this is amazing.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a cool experience to have all your teammates side by side because although we don't broadcast it, most of the time these players are playing separately within their own dorms, apartments, homes. So the fact that they're all together, rare occurrence, especially for the Academy team who is not typically streamed here in studio. So a lot to be excited about if you're a Terps fan. We got basketball going for us.
Oh,
we
yeah.
got Valorant going for us.
Yeah, I mean, UMD sports lately have been hitting. I mean, the women's basketball team just making it to the Sweet 16 tonight, and the men's basketball team making it to the Sweet 16. I think yesterday or 2 days. It was yesterday night, right?
Yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday night. I mean, sports season is in full bloom. We're in for it. Speaking of bloom.
Speaking of bloom.
Yeah, I've heard the cherry blossoms are starting to bloom I think this week, and I think they'll be in full bloom come Saturday, I think.
Yeah, definitely something to be excited about for UMD students. And like you said, shout out to those of us who participated in the Bloom Land with, the Overwatch team coming away with the title there. I'm excited for their match tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I have the great opportunity to observe the match tomorrow, so it's gonna be a really interesting night. I'm really excited for it.
They have had such a strong season so far.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just hopefully going to cap it off with a win in the grand finals.
Yeah, I believe they are the defending champions right now. Yeah, so it's their game to win.
Yeah, so a lot to be excited about if you are a Terps fan. Here, the Academy players are just getting acquainted with the studio still. I'm sure there's technical difficulty here and there to work over. There always is. But yeah, there is Void. If you caught our pre-show interview, he is actually new to this roster. He was the 6th-man sub, but has since recently been subbed onto the main roster.
Yeah, I mean, he seems really confident, at least with his just his interactions and his chemistry with everybody else. So I'm really excited to see what he's gonna do today. How he's gonna use he's controller, right?
Flex.
Oh, he's flex. Okay. I mean, even better. Like, if you're flex, you know how to play everything. So just I'm like getting really excited because the amount of chemistry that he already has with these players, like he's definitely gonna cook something up.
Yeah, and he didn't look nervous to walk in here. Sometimes players, when they're in the studio for the first time, it can be a little jarring, all these PCs, all these lights, all these cameras, but he seemed pretty confident, and, he's been a part of the team all semester, and I could just tell he's super excited to be here playing side by side.
Yeah, so, I mean, in other news, like, let's talk about Waylay real quick.
Yeah.
So, Waylay is kind of, like, taken Valorant by storm. I mean, being the better duelist, like I think on Waylay you have better movement than both Jet and Raze. So like, I personally haven't played Waylay at all, but like, do you have any experience with Waylay at all?
Waylay, every time I make a joke that she is just Tracer in Valorant. Like, it is because I am a horrible Overwatch player, but I love in Overwatch playing Tracer because you get to zoom backwards.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, Waylay is giving that, and Waylay's movement is insane. One thing about her though, I don't think her ultimate is very OP at all. It's, because we saw the Teho ultimate, the most recent agent that came out, be like game changing, right? I don't think Waylay's is on the same caliber as that, but her movement is really what sets her apart as an agent. Speaking of agents, here we are in agent select.
Yeah, and I think on Icebox, it's kind of like a common pick to have at least a Viper on your team, whether it's a solo smoke or a double smoke. And in this case, we might end up seeing a double smoke come from the side of UMD. But that Viper on Icebox is just so crucial to have because there's so many good areas to put your wall. Like A site, you can block off everything from screens, right?
Yeah, that wall in mid, crucial for Viper or like A-Site. Like you said, I think it reaches out into mid. So yeah, both teams opting for the Viper pick. We do have a Reyna. That might be a bit of a curveball for the Terps. I do like, though, the Terps being able to counter that with the double smoke if Void does lock in Omen.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think he mentioned at some point that he has played Omen before, and you know, having a double, and he does lock in the Omen, so having a double controller composition, especially on Icebox, and if you're defending first, that's huge. That gives you so much ground to start off with, and defense is gonna kind of be like a breeze because that KJ is going to be so good at holding down sites. Plus, you can smoke anywhere you want on anywhere on the map with 2 controllers. Like if you want Omen to take primary care of B site smoking, and you have Viper completely set up towards A, which is it looks like that's what UMB is going to do here early in the round. But I mean, you just have so much versatility and leeway with this double smoke comp. And the one thing I'm a little worried about is this Reyna pick, too. And, like, Reyna's kind of a hit or miss sometimes. I mean, you could have somebody that goes 40 and, like, 6 on a Reyna. Or you can have somebody that goes 2 and 15. It's kind of a... It's a really sporadic pick. So I'm indifferent on where the Reyna sits, but we'll just have to let time do its job.
Does look like it's a B favored hit, just numbers wise for Queens. They're gonna work their way up into B long. Meanwhile, Salamander about to catch first contact and takes the first blood there onto this A side. Meanwhile, it's a full scale up B that's gonna take out Peaches, and a lot of Viper utilities taken down, and this KJ for Queens just wreaking havoc, downs Spike. But we are left in a 2v3. The Terps just do not have a lot of HP to work off of, but they do have the spike, and they're able to hold this long angle and just wait for a peek to come their way.
Yeah, I think we can expect one of Queen's members to go through mid and maybe try to cut him off, or all 3 of them might end up facing head-on towards the spike. So this is going to be a really interesting fight for the Terps.
Oh, and Swirls just does not have a lot of HP, so he's got to be really strategic about how he peeks. That does find a pick. That only leaves Cloud, though, in a 1v1. Has the off-angle peeks and
beautiful shot.
What a shot from Cloud to find 3 for the round for himself. Great way to start things out for the Terps.
Yeah, I mean, multiple times in that round, you see these little head, I want to say head glitches or something, or like, I forgot what they're called, like little pixel peaks or something. Yeah, pixel peaks. Like, the first kill on the Reyna was, like, I couldn't even see the outline of the Reyna's head.
Yeah,
I don't understand how Salamander got that kill. That was insane. And then beautiful reposition by Cloud, though. I would have stayed down at the bottom, but, you know, that's why they're playing on this academy team. That's why they're, you know, that's why they're 4-2, is they understand how this game works.
Looks like he's gonna switch it up by pulling a default here, neglecting Spike for the moment. Gonna just creep up tubes, not defended by the Terps, but what is defended is this A site where the 2 duelists for Queens are gonna be pushing up, making themselves known, but not quite taking any space. Instead, Cloud's gotta be aware of the slow walk up into Kitchen. Peaches peeks in and finds a pick. Cloud soon to follow as he jumps up into Kitchen there. That only leaves the 2 duelists who are on the A site to fend for themselves here in mid. UMD not super aware of their positioning right now. I think they have an idea that this is going to be a B rotate, but they've just got to make sure they don't get caught in an unfortunate timing. It's just a slow walk into Kitchen. Is Cloud going to be expecting a peek to come his way? I'm not sure. You know he's going to back up into spawn and peek first, but with the Spectre, it's a hard fight to win at a long distance. Cloud makes it work regardless, and I think he caught eyes on both of the players there, so they're going to get pinched, and that's another great round for Cloud.
Yeah, I mean, so far with Cloud's gameplay, he's playing really smart. Like, first, that little reposition in the first round. Second, like, you know, it's kind of a hard read to understand that they're probably going through mid, and at that very last engagement, putting a Killjoy turret down just to help you secure that. Hold up. Pause. We have an operator already in round 3 purchased by Swirls. This is going to be a really interesting buy.
Round 3 op. Will Queens see it coming is the question. It's posted up on B Long. Doesn't look like there's a peek coming his way anytime soon. Instead, Salamander gonna take that peek with a Bulldog and win it, and that gives the Terps solid ground to hold on this A site. But still, Queens is not backing down. They're gonna use that KJ turret to try and get Void out of that corner. They bought themselves a little bit of space, but they've got to work through this Viper wall. Will Void be expecting this push to come through? Yes, with the Bulldog in hand, Void does get traded, but Queens still does have the spike. They're kind of sitting back on this A site. It looks like they're going to be able to get this bomb down, but are they going to be expecting this flank? Are they going to be expecting the screens positioning? We will have to see.
Yeah, the Terps just have to play lives here just to get enough time for the rotate. Viper Molly doesn't hit, but shots are coming out left and right from CT and screens.
Peaches does get taken down in screens. Salamander forced to peek off of that, and Swirls also. Now all that's left is the flaying Cloud, who's been so crucial in the last couple rounds, but he does get killed, and Queens has found themselves on the board.
So many questions.
Yeah, unlucky to Swirls. The operator does not survive, so it's going to be... Oh, somebody's buying him an operator. Maybe not.
We saw the op come back to life, and then it died again. But yeah, it's unfortunate that Swirls did not get any value off of that operator.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that they didn't go to his site was a little annoying. Like I could tell he probably was a little annoyed with that. Like, oh man, I'm posted up in a really good position. Ooh, this angle by Swirls is really good, but does not land a shot. He might get a second chance.
He's forced to reposition for now, and he leaves Void in a 2v2 on this B site where there are investing some Sophie utility, but it could be all a fake because the bomb is by A site where things are pretty quiet, but not until the Jet peeks out and spots Salamander, but everybody is still alive right now. You know, I think the Terps got just a peek off of those attackers into B, and the Reyna's going to step up. Swirls answers, though. What a shot with that Sheriff to put a stop to this A push that has been cooking. Now the rotate is scaled up towards A site, so it does look like we are going to see an A hit if the Terps got to be sure not to rotate off of this one.
Yeah, the alarm bells are probably ringing now because there's been no contact whatsoever on B.
Swirls gets shot, so does Salamander. That's gonna leave a free A site for Queens to plant. Yet again, looking very reminiscent of the round that we just lost. But this time, will the Terps be able to pull off this retake? They are at a numbers disadvantage, but if Swirls or if Cloud can just get this pick and find his way into heaven, that might buy the Terps a little bit more room. But meanwhile, the rest of his team is struggling up in screens. And Void peeks out and finally gets that pick to give the Terps some hope. Finds another as well, but the turret will deliver the deadly blow.
Yeah, the one thing that Queens did there was they just cut noise. I mean, they still had some sort of engagement over on A, but like on B it was completely cut. So I think what was going on through the Terps' minds is like, you know, the last encounter we had with them was like 10 seconds ago. Could they have fully rotated by then? Okay, now it's 20 seconds. Could they have fully rotated by then? Which is when they started to rotate. So I think playing reactionary and maybe gambling a little bit, especially on these defaults that Queens is making, you know, they're gonna have to adapt a little bit. But they play very aggressive here. So just not expecting that KJ to pop out of nowhere and take his head clean off.
And that's one player down for the Terps, and it's Swirls, who is their duelist. Thankfully, they are on the defense, so shouldn't rely on that duelist utility too much, but Void and Salamander working together in mid might have a great timing if Salamander's aware of this jet, and if it's Void who's left to fight and take 2 there into mid for his teammate, and they do both get killed. And now the Terps just at a huge disadvantage this round, and they're way out of position here to work together. They're isolated on completely other sides of the map. Cloud gets chased down up and spawn. Peach is presumably going to be soon to follow, and now Queens have slowly taken the lead.
Man, that was an unlucky timing on Peach's. He's trying to reload his Sheriff, but that 1 millisecond makes a difference.
Yeah, ultimate's starting to accumulate on either side, 2 apiece right now. They're both on either side really important ultimates to have online.
Yeah, so one thing I've seen with Queens is they typically land A. Like they do a pretty good default, and Void coming up really aggressively.
Oh, great job from Void. Just get that pick, be happy with it, back off, let Swirls do the rest on his site. And now the Terps can reconvene and just kind of decide where they want to place their bets. I would not be surprised if we saw a more heavily stacked A site, but that's not really what we're seeing right now. They're kind of just relying on that Viper wall, on that KG utility to buy them time on A site, but that hasn't worked the last couple of rounds. Will Queens end A yet again, or are they going to try their luck on this B site? Looks like the Viper trying to take advantage of the ladder, but they're going to have to work through Cloud here, who's just spotted the Viper and spots their head. Yeah, great shot from Cloud to make things look even more dire for Queens, who has just worked outside of this A site, but they've not bought themselves space here on site, and now they're caught in a really bad position.
Yeah, they might end up saving. I mean, they have built up a good amount of money, but
30 seconds left.
I think a save might be in order here, just because I don't know exactly where the econ is for the rest of the team, but Void in a very good position.
Oh, Void about to be contact, and is maybe find 2 kills. No, just going to be 1 for now, but the damage has been done for Queens. Swirl's going to be the one to clean it up, and the Terps get a decisive round win to answer.
Yeah, I really like the patience that they showed. I mean, they had the original engagement from Void being extremely aggressive, but as soon as they got those 2 kills, they just let the round play out. And they were forcing Queens to kind of overthink themselves. Like, okay, where do we go? Do we go A? They might be stacked A because we went A a lot of times. Are they B? Are they like, you know, it's a mental game.
Here. Yeah, and how even could things be? Scoreline even, ultimate status even, even like scoreboard, economy, all looking even. Who is going to give their teams the edge coming into this next couple of rounds? While the Terps on the defense, KJ Ultimate invested for Queens means that their bets are going to be placed towards this A side. They want to work through this Viper wall that is in their way right now. The Terps just going to avoid that KJ Ultimate, give Queens sight for now, and they're going to place their bets on this retake, but it's going to be really difficult with that Viper ult also being invested for Queens. An expensive round for Queens. So the Terps just getting 3 ultimates now thrown in their faces. They're trying to do a retake. Salamander, Void making their guns work for them. Void finding 2 for himself, and they have bought themselves so much space on this round. Swirls, just everyone doing their job. The only person that's left is this KJ, who's way out of position to defend the spike. What a retake for the Terps. Just textbook.
They do end up getting the final kill. That was a very expensive round for Queens.
Yeah.
They invested 3 ultimates in that. They invested the Reyna ult, the Viper ult, which objectively is probably the best ultimate in the game. And then they had the KJ ult. I actually, on top of that, I think they used the Sova ult too to counter the Terps' KJ ult too. It was like, that's 4 ults gone in 1 round. Now you're going to have to build all that back up. And you're slowly losing economy because you've lost the 2 rounds. Like, they're not sitting in a good position. But fortunately, the Terps are. They have 3 ults left. you know, you've won the last 2 rounds, so you're building up somewhat of an economy, and you're looking good. You know, it's 5-3 right now, I think. 4-3, sorry.
Yeah, but that was really the round that set the Terps ahead. They were really even in terms of ultimate status, scoreline, economy. Hopefully, that winning that round is going to give the Terps ability to go on a run here. Now we just got to watch out for this Jet who's creeping up into Tubes. Peaches, great shot, just shooting through his own Viper smoke to take down a lot of that duelist utility, and so does Swirls, but not without a trade coming through up into Kitchen. But now the Terps have been distracted off of this A site where Bomb is able to come down, and now that Viper or that Sova ultimate is invested for Salamander to try and delay this plant. It does a good job of doing that plant. Still gonna be able to come down though. They do have the Jet Knife to work off of if they so choose. And looks like Swirl's not even going to need the Jet Knives as he finds a great pick using his Phantom. Initiates his dash, try and buy some more space. He's got to be aware of this post-plant positioning from Queens. I'm not sure if they're going to expect that they're right on the other side of this Viper screen. They push through and Jet killed narrowly though. That round was close.
Yeah, it was going to be a really tough round either way for the Terps because the characters they had alive are some of the best post-plant characters. And that's just, like, even looking at it right now, the nature of having Icebox, or an Icebox composition, is both teams have 3 really good post-plant characters. So I think everything is just trying to get the bomb down at some point and then surviving. And we do see Swirls purchasing an op again. Might get a kill onto the Sova.
Oh.
Bug with the Viper ult.
And with this A side being heavily favored for Queens, I like that Peaches uses that Viper ultimate to make a really difficult, you know, try to force a rotate. Meanwhile, Swirls working up aggressively on this B site. Salamander does get killed, and is Cloud about to make contact into mid. Does come out on the other side of that alive, but not for long, as he does end up being traded. And this is a really weird round where there has not been a run to either side. Instead, it's been contact in mid. That's really where the only engagements have come from so far. Both teams looking more or less level. Queens does still have spike control, but Peaches has remained very patient in his Viper ultimate. Will it pay off? No, because Queens can work around it. Oh my goodness. Trickery from Queens, being silent, working their way towards the bomb site. And Void gets killed, making things look even worse for the Terps because they find their way onto the site, but Swirls has other plans using those Jet Knives. Only one more player in the way of the Terps, and a round win. Will Swirls be the one who can close it off in a 2v1? Oh, there might just let time tick down here. No, Peach is going to peek out and put a stop to things, but I got worried as soon as I realized Queens could work around that Viper ultimate.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a really weird area to have a Viper ultimate because you can't control bottom and top. You have to choose one or the other. And, I mean, bottom in that scenario is probably the better way to go because, you know, they have to go into your Viper ult in order to kill you. Most times, unless you just randomly shoot somewhere and you happen to land a bullet, which then I would probably blame Riot for that. But
yeah.
Another really aggressive play from...
Oh wow, Operator's been picked up. Peach is being aggressive and it pays off. And Swirls still has that Operator looking view long, where it does look like that is going to be where Queens is going to execute. But is Salamander going to expect this push up? No, it's going to be Void who has that off angle to support his teammate there to get that pick. That was scary for a second, but all Terps come out unscathed in the end, as it does look like this is going to be a B hit.
Yeah, I think they were backing off just a little bit because of that engagement on A. They might have, I think the Terps are thinking that they did a default, but it was just one working. But they're still set up in a really good area as long as Swirls can manage another pick here, then they should be good for the rest of the round.
Yeah, Queens has done a good job at cutting noise. They do have that Viper wall. It's going to go up again, which means the alarm bell is going to sound for the Terps right about now as Peach is going to put up that Viper orb. But Queens have only 30 seconds to work with. They've got to start making way towards this B site, and they've got to work through Swirl's operator that they're going to get a read of shortly. And now they're going to have no choice but to work around it. Only 16 seconds left. Peach is down.
Very good reposition by Peaches there.
Yeah, great reposition, and now they've secured the round win, and he's looking for more picks. He is going to get killed by that Sheriff. Swirls happy to keep that operator in his hands and dash away just to, now the Terps already won the round, but you don't want to see any more picks come through. Salamander does get killed.
I mean, you know, Swirls, I think getting that first kill, I think was, actually, no, sorry, it wasn't Swirls. It was Salamander.
It was Void.
It was Void. Yes, it was Void. I think that little positioning that they did was just really good because, you know, when you have an operator standing somewhere on like on top of box on B, most attention is going to go right there.
Get out of my way!
No attention is going to be put anywhere towards your right, which is what happened. Everybody had their knives out, and they're just trying to avoid this operator. And this is as we go into the first parts of this round, this is a very chaotic round.
Oh wow, so much utility invested onto this A site. The Terps respond using their weapons. Swirls finally gonna get that operator money back in the form of kills. But still, Queens has side, but only one player left, not for long, as Cloud gonna kill the remaining 2 players, and now the Terps have a pretty sizable lead, the biggest lead that I think we've seen all series.
Yeah, I mean, it just keeps growing. That was I want to say that was a really chaotic round.
Yeah.
It was very fast, which I don't think the Terps were expecting that. Plus the flying Jet, that's something you really don't see. I mean, Jet can fly, but flying right into your own space, trying to get kills with knives, I mean, that's a very bold move. And Peaches has an op too.
2 operators in play for the Terps. Unfortunately, it's not. They're both of them are not positioned on the same site. They're spread out, and that Swirls is gonna get a read on this A positioning. Gonna prompt 2 ultimates to be used by Queens. This is the last round, so all the ultimates gonna come down to use this round for sure. As that KJ ultimate also used, like Queens also has this Viper pit to work off them. This could be a scary round for the Terps to put themselves in a retake position, but it looks like that's what they're going to be forced to do in the face of this Viper pit.
Yeah, I mean, they did it once, they can do it again. Have full faith, and Swirls already picks one off.
Yeah, it's a good start so far. Salamander trying to use that Sova utility to just get some information to spray off of. Not going to find a pick. Instead, Peaches.
Very lucky shot.
Yeah, with that Viper Molly, got a pick, and now the Terps have started off a good retake, but they've got to keep it going. They charged through together, the 3 of them all holding hands on this site, and it works out beautifully, but are they aware of this flank? Salamander finally answers. Now they just have to work around this Viper pit, and Swirls will close it out for the Terps, and like you said, full faith that they should have in their retake because they just navigated 4 ultimates.
Yeah, that's got to be a hit to the Viper's mental too. Like, you've had 2 Viper ults and none of them worked. You lost both of the rounds that you used it. You actually, let me rephrase, you've lost both of the rounds that you use a KJ ult and a Viper ult in the same in the same round. Actually, and to add on that, it was a Reyna ult too. So the ult situation for Queens can't be that confident right now.
Yeah, you've lost these really just rounds that you should win on paper based on the amount of ultimates you have. But for some reason, those have been the rounds that Queens has let slip away from them. And now I'm interested to see how the Terps are able to keep this momentum cooking on the attack. Starting things off with a lot of mid presence. If they do want to work up through tubes, they've got to be aware of this Jet just sitting and waiting for a push to come their way.
Yeah, it looks like they stacked a lot towards mid on the side of Queens. Just really surprising.
It's a good call. It's a good call. I'm not sure.
It is a pretty good call, but they might get hit by this by the KJ that's
And the rest of the UMD pack gonna rotate towards A site where they have the same Viper screen that they used working against them, and it is the flank that's gonna just hurt UMD so much. Down spike, Peach is able to pick it up, but now Peach is determined to kill this flanker, and Cloud will be the one to do so. So the Terps have a tall task ahead of them. They regrouped, but now it looks like Queens knows that they're going to hit this B site. With Cloud getting taken down, it makes things even more difficult for them. They found their way onto the site. The alarm bot gonna sell out their position completely. The KJ pushes through, but Swirls is there to defend the planter. But now Peach has got to fight for himself off of that bomb. Only 13 seconds left. Has to stick a plant sooner rather than later. Gets the bomb down, but he's being tracked down from all different angles, and it's just too hard in that 1v2.
Yeah, I was really hoping Cloud maybe double backed early in the round to see that there's a decent amount of people flanking. I feel like if they somehow caught the Viper, or maybe even thought that the Viper was flanking, that round would have been a much different story. But you know, it happens. You can't account for everybody. If you can account for everybody in one match, you'd be literally like the #1 player in Valorant.
And we saw the Terps gain a little bit of a lead. As you can see, the scoreboard kind of reflects that. Swirl's having a great game for himself, so is Cloud.
Yeah.
But losing that first attack round gonna make the Terps just, you know, stay on their guard.
Standing ahead.
Yeah, I think once they have access to a lot more utility, it's going to be a much different story than the first 2 rounds, at least, because then once they get spiked down, they have plenty of utility to work with for post plant, and already 2 bodies going down on the side of the Terps. Just very heavy guns to deal with. You have the Outlaw, you have the Bulldog to deal with on A site, and most everybody has already rotated there, and this KG might get 1 or 2 picks off, but now the Terps realize that someone is there. It's going to be a little bit of a
Well, the KJ does speak, eventually taking down Peaches. UMD just kind of backed up into their own spawn right now. Their position is sold out. I think, you know, Queens really has a good read on where they are, and they have that Viper wall just waiting on the B site. So I think that's where the Terps are going to favor, but with the Outlaw, it's going to be very difficult for them to make much progress at all. And this is not going to be a save because Salamander only has a classic. He's just trying to down 1 or 2 players, but it's not going to happen without Outlaw.
Yeah, the Outlaw is so deadly in just buy rounds, and even like eco rounds too. It's anytime you have 25 shield, it's a one shot. It's almost as scary as playing against an op.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
In those early rounds, especially because you don't have full shields. Like, it's essentially an operator in their early rounds, and still that Sova has held on to it.
Yeah, and this is going to be a pretty tough round because Queens kept a lot of their guns too, so the Terps have to do something to get back into this game. They have util now, but they just got to be really careful about this operator. I think the Sova drone already pointed. Yep, the Sova drone already pointed him out. So you're going to try to lock down on this Sova's position potentially, and Salamander does get the kill.
Oh, so does Swirl. Suddenly A site working out beautifully for the Terps as it stands right now. Managed to take down 2 Queens defenders, make that 3 as Salamander peeks into hell. Bomb comes down, and the Jet for Queens only 1 HP and a Dream to work off of. So in theory, the Terps should have this retake, or should have this post plant set for them. No problem at all. They're playing off site right now, which I like. Just even though they have a large numbers advantage, they don't want to They don't want to leave anything up to chance. Just give them kills. Swirls looking that way is probably going to be the first one to make contact. And the rest of the pack just kind of supporting right behind him. And it is Swirls who does finish off the Jet with only 1 HP. Cloud has the timing to find that last pick. And that is an important round for the Terps to win economy-wise.
Yeah, very important because all of them survived, which is huge after coming off of a 2-round deficit, losing pistol round. Like, you essentially matched the economy that Queens has already built up from pistol round. Now it's an even game, and this is going to look interesting because now they have those abilities, those post-plant abilities. So if they can just get spiked down, it's essentially a stall game from there.
Yeah, getting spiked down going to be super important. Not taking any unnecessary fights going to be super important. You have a gun advantage. You have an eco advantage. Just play fights that are in your favor. Do play site hits that are going to go in your favor. You know, oh gosh, they do have to work around an Odin.
Not an Odin.
Not sure if they're going to see this coming because we have not seen an Odin be purchased at all on Icebox yet. So it does look like the Terps are going to back off of this A site, and I do like this B hit. They have the Viper wall to work off of, but they also have a numbers advantage on the B site if they can get there quick enough. Oh, Cloud gets spotted though and taken down. The Terps don't have any good options on either site now. They're going to try their luck onto B site, but they've got to clear out this Viper and this KJ if they want this round to go in their favor at all. So many smokes on the site. This is really where we see the beauty of the double smoke pick come through. But Peaches does get killed despite the smoke. So does Void. Swirls finally answering behind. Yellow is forced to kind of use this little box as protection. Dances around that corner to find a great headshot. And now he's got to defend this spike. 2 players stand in his way of a clutch. He's going to swing around. Will they expect it? No, but he narrowly loses that round. Oh my goodness, that looked really promising for a sec.
I had faith.
Yeah.
I had faith. I saw the 1v3 and I had the vision. It was almost there. It was almost there. Don't get me wrong, but like it's just that one bullet maybe missed by 2 centimeters. 2 centimeters.
Very, very narrowly lost round there, but still gotta point out Swirls 20-8.
Yeah, he's been having a great game. And also I want to talk about Salamander too. You know, the first half wasn't his best, but the second half he's starting to turn up. A lot of his util is just extremely impactful, and he got 2 of probably the most impactful kills of this half.
Yeah, and he's using his utility really well. To add to that, this time Terps not doing any funny business on this A site, just gonna focus their efforts towards B, use their Viper wall to their advantage. They have Salamander try to just throw a fake onto this A site, but it's going to be a silent walk up into B site, hop around Yellow. Oh no! A devastating collapse for the Terps. Make that 3 kills going in the favor of Queens. Salamander, who was the lurk, does find a kill as he looks towards mid, but still the Terps are not in a good position by any means here. Oh, and this Jet almost aced, but Salamander is able to stick up for the Terps, just hold their ground by any means, but not for long as he does get killed. What a round for that Jet for Queens. Oh my goodness. I thought we would have the numbers advantage because we double swung, but
yeah.
Nope.
I mean, it's just, you know, time and place at that point. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was a timeout called anytime soon to maybe kind of get them in the right headspace. Because if anything, they should call a timeout this round because they're gonna buy.
Yeah, interesting. I don't know if they have a coach right now. Coach Kazu.
I don't think they do either.
Who's the coach for this team? I who also is the coach for the Premier team, they had the game at the same time. So they might just be working off of their IGL here as a coach. But yeah, I think a timeout would have been smart, especially since this round not starting off on a great foot either, with Swirls getting killed after using that Jet ultimate. The Odin is in play. It's positioned up into heaven with the Reyna Lear. Void is forced into hell. But something tells me this Odin is about to be deadly. And Salamander does get eyes on the positioning up into heaven. But he does get killed by the flank. Now the Terps have got to be aware of this flank that's cooking up. Void does get that pick, but he gets swung into. And like you said, may have been good to call a timeout, especially now that Queens are really working their way back into this one.
Yeah, I mean, this game's all it's all about strategy and momentum. Who can get the better of both worlds? And it's, you know, sometimes you just kind of have to call a timeout.
Yeah.
You know, timeouts are really useful at stopping any kind of push for momentum. I mean, we see it in any game, whether it's like Esports, Valorant, basketball, no, not soccer. Soccer doesn't have timeouts. What am I saying? But like, we see it a lot because, you know, you're able to separate yourself from the game for just a minute, recuperate your thoughts, and get back in with a better headspace. And I feel like they're gonna need to call a timeout just based off of how the game's been swinging their way, unless they're able to pull off something this round. And Swirl's already going up really aggressive.
Oh, the Terps do not have a gun advantage. They do have a Hero Vandal for Peaches. Other than that, it's Stingers, it's Spectres. So this is going to be a tricky round for them. They started by going A side, and an early Sova ultimate invested for Queens. Does a lot of damage on Swirls, but doesn't take any lives. They do have a Viper Pit available for them, but the Terps also have 2 ultimates online that they could use for themselves. And that, especially that Omen ultimate, if they do lose control of the spike, could be the difference between a round win and a round loss, as the Terps seem looking like they're going to re-hit this A site. They did a fake rotate, and now Cloud has the information of, hey, they've rotated off the site, with the exception of this Odin that's sitting screens that Cloud may not know about right now, but soon enough he does. Regardless, Terps have enough room to plant the spike. Are they going to be able to stop the Odin spam? Finally, Peaches is able to, and the Terps breathe a sigh of relief, but they've got to watch out for Heaven. Just getting shot through all that Viper utility. That Viper Pit that was invested, and now it's a counter pit for Queens as they try and buy themselves a little bit more space to have access to the spike to pull off a defuse. The Terps playing offsite. I'm sure they have a Sova lineup. We're going to use that ultimate as soon as that first tap comes through. Salamander gets a pick with that ultimate, is looking for another one. Not going to quite find it, but the Terps might be able to buy themselves enough time here. It's just Salamander has those KJ volleys working from the Terps. Have win that round. Oh my goodness. What?
Huge clutch.
Yeah. Salamander. It was the MVP of that round.
Yeah,
by
I mean,
far.
He's turned up this half. This is his half. I'm gonna say that now. This is his half. I mean, like I keep saying before, they have very good post plant characters, and they were able to use those characters to their full advantage that last round. I mean, just stalling for so much time. But hold up. They have 2 Odins now.
Man.
This is... Thank God I'm not playing in this game, because if I was playing against 2 Odins, I'd be fuming at this point.
Yeah, it's frustrating. And while this map is not super prone to wallbang still, just having an Odin can overwhelm a site. And they're both positioned. Both of the Odins are on this A site right now. And that is where the Terps look like they're going. Hopefully the momentum from the last round just going to give them strength to face these 2 Odins. It's not looking great as the Odins speak first, taking down 3 Terps right off the bat. Terps have spike control, but they are way isolated on either opposite sides of this map right now. And that is why Odins are so scary.
Yeah, they've already rotated one of the Odins off of A site, so if Peaches decide to peek out, it's going to be One hell of a surprise for him.
And now the Terps gonna be forced to group together sooner rather than later. They've managed to separate the Odins at least. But I don't know if they necessarily have the read on that yet. And with time ticking down, less than 30 seconds to get this bomb planted or kill everybody first. Which will it be? It's up to Cloud here to try and get a little bit of space to plant off of. Looks like he's going to stick this plant, which I'm surprised he's doing, despite knowing that Odin is right behind him.
It was a very good spot he planted.
Oh, but it's Peaches who does get killed by that Odin. Cloud, 2 great shots. It is left in a 1v1 with the bomb ticking, but he's up against an Odin. Gonna invest that KJ ultimate to try and buy some more time. The Reyna looks like they want to push this ultimate with the Odin in hand. Peaches definitely hears that Odin in play and is now forced to use time. Cloud places that KG turret.
Oh no!
Oh, that is exactly why you do not want to be up against an Odin in that setting. Any other gun, a Vandal, sure, may have done damage to that wall, maybe, you know, could potentially kill you if you're really unlucky, but to instantly take you out like that, that's something only an Odin can do.
Yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, it's so hard to play against 2 Odins because they're just, you're used to playing against Vandals and Operators, but when somebody pulls out an Odin, mind you, 2 Odins, it's like, okay, what do we do here? We haven't practiced this, you know. They're sitting up on 2 very, very like weird angles. Like, how are you gonna take care of this?
And now, yet again, we're at an even scoreline. Peaches, great job with the Bulldog. Getting that opening pick, taking down a KJ ultimate that could have been used against him later in the round. Important pick to start things off, while the rest of the Terps just walking quietly. Are they going to get caught by this Jet again? Maybe. This Jet has been really good at holding down the B site. Finally, Salamander able to use his Sheriff to find that Jet as Bomb's able to come down. Now the Terps trying to get off of the site as quickly as possible, trying to take their lives with them. Salamander cannot, though. Damage has been done to the Sova for the side of Queens. Maybe that's going to help them out later in the round as Peaches meets up with the rest of his team under 2, finding a pick doing so. This Odin, though, they're going to have to work around as it's still in play. Peaches going to get run down by 2 players and an Odin, and eventually does get killed. Spike continuing to tick down, though. Cloud peeks out, and they're blind. Both of the Queens players right now are blind thanks to Void's Omen utility. And now Void is left in a 1v1, but Spike is ticking down beyond repair, and the Terps will take this round, but the Spike will take Void's life.
I mean, I'd say that's a good trade at that point. You trade for a round win. I mean, they didn't really have much to begin with. Like, half of them bought Sheriffs.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was an inexpensive round for them to win, and now they're able to bounce back with full buys. And they're up against not as good of a buy, so if there's any round to really give the Terps the edge to try and avoid overtime, it is this one.
yeah, this would be, like you said, this would be the perfect round to bring it to 12, because that, at the very least, you know, you can still go to overtime. You have that backup of overtime where you can reset some things, and Cloud might be in a really good position to catch one of these lurkers off if the Reyna decides to push up.
Oh, maybe that Reyna's not going to push up, but I like that idea because the rotate has been something that's hurt the Terps a couple of times. Oh, Void does get killed. Salamander gets the trade with the Vandal, though, and Terps plant this bomb, and they've still got to fight for site control. Peach is going to be the one to do it. And now the Terps will just rely on, like you said, their post-plant utility. They have tons of it to work off of here. So they're just going to give up site right now to Queens. Tap Diffuse going to prompt a Sova ultimate from Salamander. And Queens is just gonna avoid that, but no, the KJ cannot quite avoid it with such little HP. Bomb continuing to tick down. Time is of the essence for Queens, but Peaches doesn't even let it come down to that. And what an important round to win. The Terps just need one more round win.
Yeah, and I mean, Queens going back to Old Faithful with 2 Odins again. Maybe the Terps might do something a little different. I guess they're only going to do one. Oh, nope, they buy that second Odin. But maybe they're going to do something different here. They might not go A, which is where both of the Odins are positioned right now. Or they might end up doing a default, which not be a bad idea.
I would love to see a mid to B. That way you avoid the Jet, you avoid those Odins. You gotta work through the KJ, but that's it. So I think that would be the play call here. Instead, they're trying their luck, defaulting a little bit. Works out in the start of the round with Cloud, getting that pick into B long. Salamander, though, realizing that Odin is positioned there on that A side. Both of them are, in fact. And can the Terps work around this Jet? Yes. Cloud puts a stop to that Jet early before they wreak havoc like they have done in the past couple of rounds. And it looks like we have a KJ ultimate. No, Cloud denies the KJ ultimate. That is so important for the Terps this round. Things are looking great for them. They've got to work around a Sova ultimate though. But if they're able to do so, they've brought themselves around. Great positioning from Void to kind of bait Cloud there. And it's going to be map number 1 going in the Terps' favor. And they had to fight for this one.
Yeah, no, I agree. They really had to fight, especially just getting over that hurdle of the Odins.
Yeah.
Like that I think was probably one of the most important things that they had to adjust to, was that not only the Odins, but their play style too. Like Queens would rotate pretty quickly, and they would have at least like 3 people on either site to defend. So it was kind of, they were playing really reactionary, and that's something the Terps had to look out for, and they did. They overcame that hurdle to push out to a map victory. Again, I don't know if this was their pick. It might have, it might not have, but either way, that's still a win in my books. They're 1-0 up in this series, so.
Yeah, well, they've got a tall task ahead of them on attack, on split for map number 2. So make sure you guys join us after a quick commercial break to catch map number 2. We'll be right back.
Terp Adventures take flight at STAM. Host to countless Maryland events, programs, performances, and more. Feed your body, feed your mind, feed your soul. Let your talents soar. Dance, sing, perform, find your thing. Join more than 800 student organizations and clubs. Find community here. Leadership lives here. Art thrives here. With space to grow. We're all just kids at heart. Let your imagination fly. Compete. Play. With wings on our feet. Here your spirit can fly. Here your soul lifts up. Here you remember those who came before. This is STAM. This is the center for campus life, where Terp adventures take flight. You belong here. Come fly with us.
I think by the end of the season, like now, we play together, everyone kind of jokes around a little bit more and kind of shines their natural ray. We're excited just to see them play better as well.
With the middle school program, the best part has been seeing the moments of teamwork where the middle schoolers really seem to get the game, and so that's when you can see they're starting to get a little bit hooked on how esports can be so fun.
Off game, or will Red turn things around?
Your ad tech stack is simple, streamlined, and easy to manage, right? Yeah, right. If you're in ad tech, then you know you have a problem. Ad tech is messy, and your tech stack includes way too many tools to effectively manage. At Playwire, we're here to uncomplicate your ad tech stack. We've consolidated the entire publisher ad tech stack into a single platform and added in proprietary technology and advanced tools to generate you even higher CPMs. Get access to an ad tech stack that is simpler and smarter.
And I think by the end of the season, like now, we play together. Everyone kind of jokes around a little bit more and kind of shines their natural ray. We're excited just to see them play better as well.
With the middle school program, the best part has been seeing the moments of teamwork where the middle schoolers really seem to get the game, and so that's when you can see they're starting to get a little bit hooked on how esports can be so fun.
Game, or will Red turn things around?
Terp adventures take flight at Stamp. Host to countless Maryland events, programs, performances, and more. Feed your body, feed your mind, feed your soul. Let your talents soar. Dance, sing, perform. Find your thing. Join more than 800 student organizations and clubs. Find community here. Leadership lives here. Art thrives here. With space to grow. We're all just kids at heart. Let your imagination fly. Compete, play, with wings on our feet. Here your spirit can fly. Here your soul lifts up. Here you remember those who came before. This is STAM. This is the center for campus life, where Terp adventures take flight. You belong here. Come fly with us.
Welcome back, everybody. We are heading into Map 2. Map 1 was a nail biter for sure. I mean, it was down to the wire, but the Terps pulled it off. We're going into Map 2 now, and this is the all beloved split. The Terps will be starting on attack, and like we said a little bit ago, this is going to be a rough half for them.
Yeah, tall task right off the bat. Being on the attack, yeah, they are on the attack. I think hopefully we get the graphic fixed shortly, but just keep that in mind that the Terps are going to be in red right now on your screen. So the Terps looking like they're going to creep up into mid to get things started, push through the Omen smoke, and they're going to pay for it with that Jet and the Omen working together to hold down mid. It's going to work out beautifully for Queens, not so much for the Terps as they're trying their luck on A. Doesn't work out either. This Cloud denies a flawless, at least, if there's any silver lining, but he's got 4 players standing in his way.
Yeah, there might be some hope here too, though, because 2 of the players on the side of Queens are really low, I think within one-shot territory. So if he can somehow, work his way through this, there is a little bit of hope. It's not much, but there's got to be some hope for Cloud.
Yeah, and there is someone watching mid. He peeks and does not get that kill. Round number 1 will be going to Queens.
Yeah, that's just the problem with Split, is there's so many choke points that you have to go through, and it's really hard to push through, especially that mid area. If you don't smoke off either vents or heaven, you're just stuck fighting both sides with really awkward angles. And back to Old Faithful, Queens has already bought an Odin.
Oh, good.
Round 2 Odin. I was laughing at the fact that that there was an op purchase on round 3 of last game, but no, there's an Odin purchased on round 2.
Swirls figures the only way to counter it is to be aggressive, even if only as is a classic, does damage but does not find a kill. Gonna put the Terps at a 3-5 numbers disadvantage. They still have Spike if there's, again, any silver lining in this, and they look like they have a decent control of Acad right now, but man, I don't think they've caught eyes on that Odin yet.
Oh, but if Cloud can get this kill, that would be huge. Oh, he does get the knife. The disrespect.
Cloud not messing around, finds a knife kill. But still the Terps not in a great position right now, even despite the confidence from Cloud.
You know, it's not about the round win. It's about sending a message.
Last player standing.
Yeah, so kills come through for Cloud and Void, and now how will things look now that you know, the Terps, even despite being down in terms of rounds, they're still, you know, showing their confidence. They're showing their, you know, they're comfortable, you know, being confident there.
Yeah, especially that knife kill too.
Yeah.
That's probably gonna be the most comfortable thing. Like if you can sneak up behind the entire team into their own territory and get a knife kill, that's gotta say something about confidence. And on a side note, look at how Queens is stacked. They're still doing the same exact thing that they were in Icebox, where they stack a site, like completely stack a site. And I mean, it's good. It's a good idea too, because they're on an eco round.
Man, I hope the Terps get a read on this gamble stack soon, because with Swirls charging in there, looks like he's gonna, you know, have the call out that, hey, undefended site here. Let's set up our post plan utility, and let's just wait for a retake to come through. Smoke dissipates outside of screens there, and it leaves that Cypher exposed. Salamander does end up getting traded. Things are still level here. Screen spike still going on. That Cypher is still alive right now, and looks like Terps are just going to be content letting Queens peek into them first. They don't want to give up any unnecessary fights here. There is an Odin though. Swirls caught an eye of that and jumps back down into hell to reposition it and help Peaches take this fight up in A main. Couple shots come through, but it's the Cypher that speaks outside of screens. Oh my goodness. Devastating.
Do they have the spike though?
No, I don't think so. Oh, they do, just by
0.6.
Man, that was close. What a round for that Cypher. Oh
yeah,
my
I mean,
goodness.
I want to say 2 of those kills were like purely luck, but like that last kill was, wow, things can happen so and change so quickly. It's crazy, because it looked like the Terps had the advantage up until the last like second of the round, where everything decided to go bad. There's really nothing you can do there, because like, you know, you can't like stop yourself from getting shot through a smoke or anything.
Yeah, the tides turned really quickly in that last round. The Terps gonna try to go A yet again. Does not start off on a great foot as Swirls and Peaches both get killed. And now the Terps are just at a stalemate. They're backed up close to their own spawn. Gonna have to go through sewers to meet up with Cloud, who's creeping up mid here, but he's gonna work around a Cypher trip. Gonna force to shoot it, and the alarm bell's gonna sound for this positioning up into B heaven, where the Terps have to fight this Teho, and Salamander is going to get picked off by this Teho, and there's not going to be a trade that comes through. And now it looks like they're trying to make way towards B site, and now the Odin finally does get a kill, and that is a 4th round in a row going in favor of Queens. Oh no, I hope the Terps can just get a handle on the situation soon.
Yeah, it's just a really, really hard map to get any ground on, because there's so much height like variations. You have like 4 different angles that you have to watch when you're pushing some kind of choke point. It's all too much.
The Odin still in play since round 2. It's still alive and well here for Queens. Oh, an aggressive swing to start off round number 5. Swirls on the receiving end of it, though. That is not going to start things off on a great foot for the Terps. Neither is Cloud, getting killed on his way up into heaven. And now the Terps just trying to make something work, trying to make B-site work potentially. It's just they're running out of ideas. Nothing has seemed to work against this Queen's defense.
Yeah, things are not going as well as they want it to. It's really hard to do something in these situations, but they use a Teho ult.
Yeah, the Odin finds 2 picks, but Teho ult used shortly after, and if anything, almost a sigh of relief to see that Teho ultimate get almost wasted on one person, as you know, in the 5v1, that round's likely going to go in your favor anyway. So again, if there's any silver lining, I know I've said that a lot, but that's just what you got to look for when you're in such a big deficit.
Yeah, I mean, you know, something that like always helps me in my ranked games is when I'm playing split and stuff, it's typically the defaults that really mess things up. So when you're in that position, maybe you want to switch it up a little bit. Maybe you want to cause some chaos. Maybe you want to full 5-man it down mid into B heaven and go from there.
Yeah, just something to switch up the tone, something to switch up the momentum is what you need, because being on attack on split, we said it in the beginning, gonna be a challenge. But how are they able to just get as many rounds as they can, throw Queens off guard, you know, doing something that they've never done before on an attack round? I'd like to see them try to overwhelm mid again, because there's a lot of utility being placed there, but if they can just work through that with a little bit of brute force, maybe it'll help them out. We are in the next round. Excuse us for a little bit of technical difficulties. Terps sounding like they found a way to one of their sites, and heard the spike start to come down. Nope, spike is down.
Standing.
1 player remaining for the Terps.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know.
We're guessing. If you can't tell, we're guessing. But oh, here we are. Yeah, 1 player. Oh, wow. Yeah, 1 player alive for the Terps. Cloud, who does get a sheriff pick, only 5 HP though. Left to work off of and eventually gets killed near Ramen. Man, 6-0 right now.
Yeah, they got to do something here. I mean, this is.
Leave it to me. I'll rough them up.
Yeah, we do see the timeout coming here. They got to do something. They have to do something weird to get a round win. Like typically, like at least in timeouts, you want to develop some weird, really weird play to catch them off guard and win the next round, because then you can switch the momentum into your favor. That's what they need right now. They need something to get them that next round win so they can at least get on the board. Because if they lose this next round, it's gonna like shut down their mental, at least until the second half. So it's gonna be like, you know, they gotta pull something together here.
Yeah, because right now you can look at the scoreline. You could say, okay, we win 6 rounds, we're even. 0-0 heading into the second half. But it starts with 1 round. You got to get yourself on the board to give yourself that chance. And it all starts after this timeout. And this is map number 2 of the series. So while losing this map, would it be the nail in the coffin for the Terps? They don't want to see this go to a map number 3. They're going to do everything they can to stop it, even if it means working around this Odin that's just this repurchased round after round.
Yes, this should do.
Yeah, if it were me at this point, like I probably would have gotten killed by that Odin multiple times, and I would be mad. Like, I think I would have lost my cool if I was playing against an Odin, especially 2 Odins in last game. So
the Terps have got to figure out how to work around this Odin, as it already right off the bat takes down Salamander. Terps doing a very good job though, getting onto this B site, completely undefended right now for the side of Queens. For one of the only rounds in this half, they're able to get the bomb down. and have time to really set up a retake. Swirls, be aggressive right in CT, does get flash in his face with the Odin, and that is why it's so difficult. But Odin is dropped. I'm not sure if the Terps gonna be aware of that, because you definitely want to have a different playstyle if you think an Odin is there. Peaches peeks out of his own smoke and kills that the breach, but he does get picked off by that Plague, and Queens trying to make their way to this site, and they've done so successfully with enough time to defuse the bomb. Man, that round was close for the Terps, and you don't want to have that be the round you lose after a timeout.
Yeah, they have almost full ults here, so if anything, they might invest most, if not all of their ults, at least to get one round win. This is the most important time that you need to get on the boards, because if they're running off with an 8, 9, maybe even a 10 round lead, it's going to seem like it's almost impossible to get to climb back up on the defensive side.
And now they don't have a goodbye working for them at all, and they're up against these just expensive guns. Looks like they're gonna try to work up into mid. You have in, there is an Odin positioned there though. A flash forces that Cypher holding that angle to back off a little bit as Peaches tries to walk in from garage, though it's still a bloodbath up into heaven. Terps falling like flies left and right as this Jet and this Breach just wreak havoc from heaven and from CT. And oh my goodness, this is just like quite literally the opposite of what you would want to see if you're Terps fans. If there's, again, just 5 ultimates online for the Terps, maybe we're going to see that used soon.
Yeah, I mean, the question is, what do you do here? They're losing at most rounds. They're down by like 1 or 2 lives, typically at the beginning of the round, and you know, I can see it's causing so much mental strain on them, because now they're getting predictable. You know, Queens has confidence that they can stack an A site because they figure that they're going to go there.
And one of the 5 ultimates invested for the Terps will be the Breach ultimate. Raise nade soon to follow. Swirls capitalizes off of that one. Salamander gets a pick as well. Things are looking pretty good for the Terps right now, better than they have all half. Certainly, as bomb comes down, only 2, or actually, they used a lot of ultimates there. They used their Cypher ultimate as well. So expensive round for the Terps if they can hold up this retake. Odin's still in play, and it's just perfect shots coming out of heaven. What are you going to do against that? Now, you know, the Odin is positioned into screens. Breach utility thrown that way. Bomb has a while to go before it's unfortunate. Kill Salamander left in a 1v1, and oh no, like you said, these rounds are so close. It's such a close margin. 1 or 2 players, but it's not enough.
The ultimate is ready.
Yeah, I mean, it looks so out of reach for the Terps here. They used 4 of their ults, and I would say the most impactful ults on their team, and still nothing. Like, what do you, the question is, what do you do here?
I think you say to yourself, you get as many rounds as you can on these next 3 on the attack, and then you say, okay, how are we gonna pull off a perfect defense? You know, how is that gonna look? Because the attack is just, nothing is working out for the Terps, and it just continues to look that way. Shots landing for Queens and never going the right way for UMD, as it seems. It's just a 4-man rush up into heaven. They're met with a lot of utility to slow them down, though. And it's just about to be a bloodbath up into heaven. The Cypher's Odin speaks and finds 2 picks. It's a fast rotate off of that site to avoid the Teho ultimate, but the damage has been done.
And I guess they are trying to fake a rotate, but it's not working because all 4 players on Queens are still at A, but it's like one is rotating over.
Yeah, there still are defenders positioned on this A side. Queen's doing a good job at being patient, but UMD, I like that they're just trying something. They're switching it up with the big rotate.
remaining.
Doesn't work out. Thanks to that Odin. And it's at a 10-0 scoreline. I really wonder if the Terps are going to purchase some Odins for themselves soon.
You know what? I would not put it past them. I think they definitely need some kind of change of pace because what they're doing isn't working. So they gotta, they might even go full Odins in defense. I would not put it past them. I mean, they gotta switch something up.
Yeah, something has got to change, whether that's the momentum, whether that's the guns purchased, whether that's, what site they're hitting, the manner in which they're hitting them, the speed, something. Got to change. The things, they have made adjustments, but nothing has worked, nothing has stuck. This time, looking like they're doing a 2-3 split, which I don't think they've quite done yet, but again, it's not starting off on a great foot. As Swirls takes a lot of damage, Salamander getting killed.
Spike planted.
And the players onto B were able to walk up slowly, but now they got this Odin to worry about up into heaven, and it's wreaking havoc, absolutely tearing through all the UMD players, only leaving Swirls at half HP to just save his Phantom.
Yeah, it's just crazy how you can snowball off of the Odin and clean up site like it was nothing.
And just more Odins purchased, more Odins. You can't even blame Queens. I mean, it's working out so well for them, that they're going to keep buying them, of course. But, it's frustrating because it's really hard to counter. And the kills aren't coming through for the Terps either. They're struggling to find picks, struggling to, really work together against these weapons, these Odins. Finally, things look all right for them right now in mid, but still, they, again, gotta be careful. This Odin that's posted up and is just waiting for Swirls to peek through that smoke.
Here.
Peaches has his own problems to worry about as soon as that smoke dissipates onto this B site. They do have a lurk on either site right now, which I do like. They have a lot of information available to them if they choose to push up anywhere, but they're just being really quiet right now. Just, again, trying to swish something up. So it's not like they're not trying to do different play calls, it's just a matter of what is going to work. And are they going to be aware of this player sitting into screens? I'm not sure. They might peek into a whole bunch of Terps and just tears through the Terps attack, finding 2 players.
That's something you do not want to see.
30 seconds left.
With only 30 seconds left, time is ticking down, so the spike's got to get taken as well soon, as the Terps do have control of it, able to plant, no problem, but can they keep it that way? Believe there are still 2 Odins in play for Queens.
But Peaches has a very good spot.
No more meddling.
That's 1 Odin down. That's so huge.
And I like how the Terps are playing together on the site. They're holding the same angle, but they're doing a high-low setup. One player crouched. Is it going to be enough? This is the most optimistic looking round they've had so far. Salamander swings, and finally, the Terps are on the board.
Switching sides.
Yeah, finally something worked. And now they are on the comfort pick, or comfort side of this map. It looks like a lot. They're in a 10-round deficit, so they're gonna have to build up something, like, reset their mentals. They have a minute or 45 seconds or whatever it is, just to say, okay, let's go ahead and rethink our situation. We've played this map multiple times. What's worked, what hasn't.
Yeah, it's got to be a nearly perfect defense for the Terps. They are at an 11-1 scoreline. It's not impossible.
I mean, the best way to think about it is Queens did it. They can do it too.
Yeah, exactly. And they've got to do it too. They've got to be as good as their opponent if they want to close the series out in 2. Cloud gonna get a read on that Taeho utility, positioned up into a heaven. Meanwhile, bit of a fight into mid there. Both teams taking a lot of damage. Swirls, though, what a shot there, just to be ready to take that fight instantly, and it pays off. But he does have a lot of HP damage, and right now the Terps are kind of in a good position with Swirls pinching these players, but that is the position advantage gone as soon as Swirls gets taken down, because now you've got a retake in from CT. You had a pinch working before, but not anymore. And this is such an important round for the Terps to win if they want to just shift the momentum on the defense, but it's just falling apart into a million pieces, and it is 12-1.
Match point.
Queens just needs one more round win to send this series into map number 3.
And it looks like it's going to be full stingers, with the exception of one judge, or yeah, I'm guessing they're going to settle into 5 stingers for this last round, which is going to be the decider. This is the Terps' last chance to get a control of split. They look to be very aggressive towards the A site, but nobody's there.
Stealing sight.
Yeah, the aggression outside of A not gonna pay off early into the round, as like you said, they're just unlucky that there's no one positioned there. Instead, it's a work up into mid. Void making things work with a stinger and make that 2 for Void, but he does pay the price with that judge, and it's just a bloodbath into ropes here. It's not looking good for Cloud. He's faced in a 1v3. It's doable with a stinger, but it's gonna be difficult, especially with a double swing coming your way, and it will be a decisive map victory for Queens at a 13-1 scoreline.
Yeah, you never want to see that. But I mean, this is the time for the Terps to, take a mental break, reset, figure out what you did wrong, and go into this third map. Like, put this game aside and stuff. It's just one game. They gotta understand that and come into the next game, the next map, with a clean slate. Good strategy, and ready to go. They did that on Icebox.
Yeah.
They did it very well on Icebox, but this next map, it's got to be something that changes.
Well, we'll have to see how the Terps respond on map number 3, and we'll see who will win this series right after a quick commercial break.
Welcome back, guys, and after a little unfortunate map 2, we are going into a map 3. Both teams are up 1, and this is going to be the decider for the series, and we did get some information from the players. The third map is going to be, whether you like it or not, is Fracture. I like it personally, but I might be a masochist.
He likes it. I do not like it or not. You have it right here. Fracture is a map that is controversial. I think everyone has their own formed opinions and strong opinions on Fracture. Just hopefully the team, like when we were out there waiting to get into map number 3, it's a little dead out there. And I heard some of the players try to be like, hey guys, we're not just gonna sit here. We're not just gonna be depressed. We're gonna, get in the rage. We're gonna like just, keep our fingers warm.
do something to work that mental up.
Yeah.
And everything. But like, I want to say the only reason why I like Fracture is specifically because of Chamber.
Yeah.
Chamber, in my opinion, is probably one of the better Sentinels on this map. Also, you can op like there's no tomorrow. But we see a Neon come out of the side of the Terps with swirls on Neon. Neon's also a very good agent pick for Fracture. And I think at least with the pairing with Tejo, that's going to be even better because you have two really good initiators, the Tejo and the Breach, that pair really well with Neon. Because at least with like Neon stun and stuff, you can stun very, very good, very weird angles, and you have 2 damaging abilities from Tejo and Breach. So if there's a lot of really weird areas on Fracture, like the little cubby on B site, and then even on A site, like the entirety of A site, you can hit all of that with a Neon stun and get both bottom and top and clear anybody out there. It's almost seamless with how it works with those 3. So I'm hoping that we'll see some kind of good team comp, or just team play in this game. I'm sure we will. We saw that in Icebox. Icebox, they played almost flawlessly. They played really well in Icebox. We're putting the last game behind us. It's in the past. It happened. It might not be everybody's. It might not be everybody's favorite map. Like I don't like playing on Split either. So, Fracture is definitely a much different change of pace because now this is an attack sided map. Attack side was the one side that they lacked on heavily. I mean, we really didn't get to see much of their defensive side, but this is a new map, new change of pace, new comp. So everything's new.
Yeah, they've just got to start from scratch, heading into this next map. Map number 3 will be the decider. So if there's any map to just start off on a good foot, just get yourself a lead early, work off that momentum, it is map number 3. All right, the Terps gonna be starting this one off on the attack, which this is an attack favored map, like you said. So this is gonna be their time to get an advantage working for them, but no, 2 of the Terps get instantly taken down. Another one soon to follow. Yeah, it's a pinch. Those pinches on this map are what make it so deadly.
Yeah, sometimes you can convert this map into a defensive sided map if you play like an attack sider. But that's probably the reason why people don't like Fracture that much, is just because the fact that you can switch between defense and attack and, be aggressive on either side. And the fact that, it seems like an attack side on whatever side you're on. It's just such a big map, and you have 4 different areas that essentially attackers can go through, defenders can go through. There's just so much ground to cover, so it's kind of anybody's game in terms of how aggressive you want to play at the start of the rounds or even in the middle of the rounds. Either side can be an attacker, but in the end, there's only one attacker. So we're seeing Cloud maybe trying to scrape away with a few kills. He is able to get one. I saw the vision.
Yeah.
I saw the vision.
At least Cloud was able to just get one. I think we may have a tech pause. Yeah, tech pause coming in shortly. So we didn't get to see a lot with only one round.
Oh my! Oh, not again! The Queens really love their Odins.
Yeah. I mean, you almost can't blame them because it's worked out for them really well. But you hate to see it. Just again, round number 2 Odin. That is what did the Terps in on a split. You know, just as soon as it just contributed to that snowball effect into them losing a large stretch of rounds in a row. So I think the key to this is gonna be if Queens is gonna keep repurchasing that Odin, your only option is to keep their economy low. Just to take that Odin out of the equation. The only way to keep the economy low is to keep winning rounds, and even in the rounds that you don't win, you kill them. You kill almost everybody on the team, right? So I think picks and winning rounds through, like a flawless would be great, or just like finding those picks is going to be what really sets the Terps apart economy wise, which I think will do the rest of the work.
Yeah, I really agree on that statement you're making about finding those first picks of the round, because especially in split, 9 times out of 10, and the Odin strikes again, man. But 9 times out of 10, the Terps would fall to a pick of their own. They need to be getting the first pick of the game, because then they can set the pace. They have control over the round, and they did that pretty well on Icebox. So on Fracture, it should be no less the same because of how big of a map it is, and it's just you can't do anything about these guns. An Odin on second round, and Swirls is able to take the Odin out of the hand, so I'm wondering if he's going to try to go run and grab it.
Last player standing.
Oh, just a glimmer of hope from Swirls, able to down that Odin with a classic, but still not enough to give the Terps the edge. All that's left is Void with another classic and bomb, but in a 3v1 when this is Queen's buy round, it's not looking good. Yeah, that Odin is just sitting there, probably gonna be picked up, or maybe not picked up. I would love to see it not get picked up. Yeah, I don't think they did. Yeah, they don't have money to repurchase it, so hopefully this will be the round that the Terps, or they do.
No, they're gonna repurchase it.
Yeah, of course. Let's just assume that they're gonna repurchase it.
Yeah, I mean, like, the Tejo would be fine getting no. Well, I guess they sell it. Maybe they prefer abilities over an Odin, but
if Odin ends up not being in this round, this has got to be the round that the Terps get on the board early.
Yeah, they gotta play this really well. They can get this jet, and it does. Swirls is traded.
Oh, and a
now
flash.
It's just the battle of the initiators, and Void is able to take down the breach. It's already two bodies from Queens, and if they've learned anything from the last couple of rounds is that Queens rotates very quickly, and I think they caught on really fast to that, and now Queens is going to be left with with a completely open site and nothing to defend it with, except for maybe a Cypher trip there, and that's only just for information.
Yeah, that Cypher chip's gonna come down soon, and that is gonna definitely sound the bells for this Queen's defense, because they're not in position at all to defend this B site. The Terps, though, being a little slower than we would like them to be,
This might cost them, though.
Yeah, being this slow, just taking this long to get this bomb down may cost them in the end. They have sight for now, but with only 30 seconds remaining, Queens is in a good position right now to work out this retake. They've got some smokes in their faces, but once those dissipate, which they're about to do, they have free reign on the site.
I really like this setup from them because they have the breach supporting from main, but they have complete control of towers. That's the most annoying area. And Cloud already taken down one, taken down two, and all three!
Wow, what amazing shots from Cloud. And if it's at any time that the Terps needed it, it's right now.
It is right now. That was the round that the Terps needed to switch the momentum of this entire series in their favor. They have control now. They have the momentum. They have possession of this game.
And again, winning those rounds gonna further damage the economy enough that we don't see the Odin, crossing my fingers as I say that, but that's what this game is going to be about, winning rounds to keep that economy down. Swirl's trying to entry onto this A side, peeks around door, but with the Bucky does not want to take that close range fight and is faced with a breach ultimate invested early, taking this fight. It pays off as Swirls does get killed. But the Terps still are not in a place to panic, especially with Peaches finding that pick towards A site. They're in position to pinch A site right now, but would not be surprised if we saw rotate, because look how many defenders are towards that way. I think as soon as the Terps get a read on the numbers there might be a rotate in order, but they would have to work through that Cypher utility on B side if they so choose to. But Salamander's going to try his luck on this A side and definitely gets a read that there's someone up close holding that angle. But boy, do Peaches both get killed, making this site hit not look so great. Now with just such low HP, smoke in your way, things are not looking great. Your only hope is that Cloud able to catch a few on that flank. Does damage, but does not quite find a pick. And now the Terps just don't have much to work off of. They do have some good aim thanks to Salamander, but only 12 seconds left and a bomb to plant. Not gonna be enough for the Terps.
It's always just a small margin that Queens is winning these rounds. I mean, if the Terps can figure out how to close this margin and even surpass it, they're going to be unstoppable. And maybe it even comes back down to the same thing we were talking about a little bit ago, is finding these first round picks. Like, first round picks are so important, especially on Fracture, because then then their defense is spread extremely thin. You can easily find holes. So if you're able to find some pick here and there, but Queens is looking very aggressive and they're going to get pinched again. This might be really bad. All of them go on zipline. Is it going to be enough to escape?
Oh, Salamander just gets caught. Its toes just peeking off of that zip line. That was almost really bad for the Terps. They were able to escape in the nick of time. Cloud pushes up and takes that space onto this A site with the smokes down. The Terps should be able to comfortably get enough space, but are they going to be aware of the sneaky positioning up into heaven? And that's some Teho utility taken out of the equation, and the ultimate comes through. Two ultimates are invested for Queens on the brink of this retake. But the Terps playing this one kind of passively off sites. It works out for Cloud initially, but those jet knives do answer, and the jet knives are blazing onto site, and it do find Peaches as well. They have full control of the spike and are working on getting a defuse going. Swirl's just trying to spam, do everything that he can to stop this defuse from coming through, but it looks like that is going to be the fate of the Terps.
Yeah, again, it's the rounds they lose is the round that they lose the first pick to. Like, when they end up in a numbers disadvantage at the beginning of the round, that's typically the round that they lose, and they gotta figure something out. I mean, you couldn't have expected them to full rush through tree, but now it's something to expect. They can full rush anywhere, and when they do, they got to be really good about reacting to it. And Queens buys the Odin and an operator.
Yeah, a lot of expensive guns purchased for Queens. How will the Terps be able to counter, though? I think they're going to have to just really use their smokes. They've been using their smokes well, but that is really going to be the only answer against something like an operator. Great shot by Salamander to start things off on this round on the attack. Terps are still really spread out. Cloud about to bite off more than he can chew, peeking into 2 there with his knife out. Swirls responds, but takes a lot of HP damage. It doesn't matter though. Swirls is hungry to make things work out for his team in a map that's looked kind of dire so far, but suddenly this round looks like it may be the saving grace for the Terps to try and level out the scoreline round by round. With only 1 player in their way of finding 2 round wins, and they are going to be on the flank. He takes the blind. The Terps are posted up well enough to, you know, kind of be prepared for wherever this Taeho might retake from. But Salamander doesn't have a ton of HP, and it looks like Salamander may be the one to make contact first up on ropes, does a little bit damage, and calls out for some reinforcements. Swirl's gonna run around, just kind of tease the Taeho a little bit, and ultimately just gonna let that Taeho save his Vandal. But really good round for the Terps, and you know, every round they need desperately because they're still in a deficit.
Yeah, I mean, it's not much of a margin. They can easily come back from this, and it's only 4-2. They have a lot of ults to work with. They've been able to withstand some of the pressure from Queens' ult. So if they can somehow snowball their way through, they have 4 really good ults to use. Really impactful ults. And Queens is on a save right now. So if they can win this round without giving too much utility, then they can definitely go a long way with these ults. You see, this is what I'm talking about. Queens plays really aggressive in some area, but I like the idea just to back off and play passive and let the recon abilities do its job.
Early swing comes out for Peaches. Looks like the Terps are kind of sitting right outside of A. They don't really like what they saw. I think they caught eyes on at least 2 defenders towards there, so they're going to slowly walk off of that site. As you can see, it's certainly faking out the breach for now, as they are still posted up on this angle and soon going to get the read that this is going to be a B hit. Terps have got to work through a whole lot of site utility, but no, they faked me out as well. It's going to be a quick double back towards this A site where Cloud is positioned beautifully to just ensure that anybody who decides to push through the smoke is going to be met with presumably a bullet to their head if they're not expecting Cloud. Oh, and they do expect Cloud though. They spray through that smoke. I wonder how they knew Cloud was there. Regardless, the rest of the Terps able to take this A site pretty comfortably. They've got to work around this Brimstone ultimate. Salamander gets an operator pick, able to continue to hold on to that operator that's going to peek through sight, and he's trying to find a pick on this. Teo does so with the Sheriff. Peeks through CT and finds another operator pick.
Going off.
And can he find the...
Oh no!
Oh no, it's left to a 1v1 with Peaches alive playing from A main. It's going to take that fight first and wins it. And what an important round for Peaches to win. And the momentum, I can sense, is starting to shift a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Salamander, the fact that he got 3 kills, the AWP is going to be a very, very useful weapon in this map. And yet they are able to recover or repurchase the AWP, but they're going to be met with an Odin on the side of Queens. So far, well, I guess they sell the AWP and buy something else. I don't know why, because the AWP was working so well for them. They had really good momentum from it.
Swirls making a lot of noise towards B side. That followed by the KJ ultimate invested for the Terps, one of the 4 ultimates that they do have online, poured onto this B side. Void, great shot to start things off with a Phantom in hand. It's gonna really just delay this this site hold from Queens. Regardless of this Odin getting a pick, the Terps have still found their way onto this site, but now they know where that Odin is. Salamander looked like he wanted to fight it, but the Stinger will take out Salamander. Peaches, though, holding his own on to the side, peeks through the smoke and into the face of 3 defenders. Gonna back off of that angle, throw smoke to try and buy time for the rest of his team as Cloud fights onto the site and finds 3
all
picks.
3!
Oh, wow, Cloud.
He did that same exact thing a few rounds ago.
Just deadly onto that
It's muscle
site.
memory.
100%, that angle for him so well.
It's a really hard angle to shoot from when you're coming out of CT too, because you don't have the upper ground. The ground is shifted up just ever so slightly to the point it gives whoever's on that the upper ground like a much bigger advantage, because they see your head. They see your head and the entire body. You can just barely see them. But they got to be really careful about this Tejo. Tejo might be extremely dangerous, especially with the Stinger if they get up too close personal.
Oh, I think Peaches had an idea that Tejo was there, but does not clear that corner and might pay for it as he does. At least he was able to get a trade right before then to put things at a 3v3 scoreline. Bomb is ticking. Swirls forced off of that angle, holding ropes, but Cloud is there onto this B site, and he's doing great again. He's just
Cloud again.
Man,
almost with the 3K, but Swirls is able to close it out. That is Cloud's sight.
Yeah, he is just unstoppable on B site. His aim is so good on that site. I don't know why that site in particular, but man, he is just having such a good game. Yeah, 12-7, 12-7. Cloud just really kind of carrying his team on B side, both with his utility, but also with his aim.
Quick feet, quick trigger.
Yeah, and you know, old reliable, old faithful, Queens is back at it to the 2 Odins.
But will the Terps have the answer heading into this next round? Hopefully. This time, ultimate comes down for the Terps, as they're trying to buy themselves a little bit of space on the B site. It looks very similar to the previous round, with the exception that they're not going to hit B site. Quick rotate to a free A site, actually, as they just have a couple of Cypher trips to work around, but regardless, they're going to be able to get this bomb planted, but they do lose Swirls in the process. That is going to hurt. Tejo ultimate invested for Queens. It's going to certainly do damage to Cloud, as he does get taken out by that Odin, that Odin is just trailing, guns blazing out onto this A site. And that will be the nail in the Terps' coffin onto A. And honestly, they should just keep going B.
Yeah, I mean, the bad part of playing against an Odin is the fact that, like, you know, in those kinds of chaotic moments, the Odin will outshine any other gun because it shoots faster. It, you know, it just hits hard, and you can cover a very big, like a very big area because it has such a big mag. You can keep spraying, whereas like just a Phantom or Vandal, you know, you don't have much ammo to work with.
Oh, Swirls answers, though, in the face of that Odin. That is a huge pick to start things off, but it doesn't look like the Terps want to take any space off of that pick. Instead, they're going to double back again to a free A site, but that did not really do it for them in the last round. A site was free in the previous round, but they weren't able to hold their ground there. So Bomb is actually positioned on the B site. I think knowing that A site was difficult to hold on the post plant, they want to place their bets on B, and what a game plan that is, as they have found themselves on an undefended B site. And now Swirls has so much time to get into position to proactively hold a retake.
Go, go.
A couple of stuns thrown the way of Canteen. He peeks out and does not quite able to get that pick, and that reach just wreaking havoc right now through the Terps onto this B site. Cloud not in his usual spot. This fourth defend from the main does get killed by that Odin. It only leaves Peaches, and time is ticking there on the defuse, and he's able to just hold on to that Phantom.
Last round before the switch.
You know, it was a very aggressive play by Swirls. I don't think it was the right play. You had complete control of sight. You know, maybe the best thing you could do is get into a very cheeky angle and at least guarantee yourself one kill before you go. And, you know, play a little bit conservatively since you have the entire site and you have a little bit of time to set something up. So they are going to be met with a pretty aggressive, relatively aggressive Queen defense.
Yeah, 2 Odins still in play, 4 Queens. They have an ultimate online. The Terps have 1. They used to have 2, but with Peaches getting taken down, that takes Brimstone's utility out of play. Some early shots being fired on both sides with Cloud on the lurk. And is ready to take this fight in CT as it looks like he's going to push up actually in the face of this Cypher. Swings out and gets that pick. Throws down an alarm bot. It's going to get the read that there's somebody right behind him. Yeah, Odin does overwhelm Cloud on that A site. But the rest of his team is trying to make B work out right now. Swirl's going to use that Neon utility to buy him a little bit of space. He's watches Canteen again. This time he comes out with his life and is not going to take that fight with only 5 HP. Going to leave it to Void right behind him to help him out after he gets this plant down, of course.
Go ahead. Stand your
Teho ultimate is invested for the Terps. They do know that the Odin is still in play right now. Spike comes down, but Void instantly getting picked, and so does Swirls, and now Queens has a 2-round advantage.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a challenge going into the last half of this series. You know, we're sitting at almost 11 o'clock tonight. You know, it's always right up to the best, to the last couple of rounds and every best of 3. So this has already been a very, very like close game. At least this match. So we're in for a pretty long half, I'd say.
Yeah, nothing out of the ordinary for here in the studio. We've had a couple of historically long Valorant games, but hopefully the Terps gonna, you know, find their groove here on the half switch and just have a decisive second half. They're gonna need it to win this series. And hopefully they're going to work out an answer to those Odins because, man, that is still, I think, their biggest issue right now. They were able to, a couple rounds, keep the economy low, and we saw them win those couple of rounds where the Odin wasn't purchased. But, man, it's just going to be a matter of finding an answer to those guns. And we are jumping into this next round. Bomb is planted for Queens, and now the Terps got to work out a retake. This is a pistol round, so the playing field should be level. Weapons-wise, as a trade comes through to start off this retake. Salamander still trying to creep up and take more space into B main as Peaches gets picked off. So does Void. HP is not looking good for Queens, so this is doable for the Terps if they're able to act fast enough to have time to defuse this bomb.
Last player standing.
And Cloud finds 2 great shots. Make that 3 for him. Man, he owns this B site.
That is just crazy. The amount of like crazy shots we've seen from him tonight, especially on the B site. It always ends up with either like 2 or 3 kills every time. I mean, like look at his stats. You know, he's got the highest kills of this game, sitting at 16 and 10, which is very impressive. But let's talk. That was a defensive round win. This map isn't that great on defense, so you're already sitting in a decent area. Maybe the Terps are looking to like outpace them on defense, and they are already doing so by committing to a very, very aggressive pinch, and it works out. They're doing exactly what they need to do, getting those early round picks and snowballing off of them.
Beautiful pinch from the Terps. Just textbook fracture play. That's exactly how you're meant to play this map. And while Queens was able to plant and the HP's not looking good for the Terps, I still think the Terps should be able to come away with this one if they play their cards right and just overwhelm using their numbers onto the site. Peaches able to get that pick with a Bulldog, and Salamander will be the one to close it out. And now we are at a level scoreline. Those were two crucial rounds to win on the half switch for your economy. You win the pistol, you buy, and now you can bonus.
Go, go, go.
Oh, exactly. I mean, they have good guns to work with too. Most of them have Bulldogs, and going up against like any rifle or something, like you're sitting in a decent like a decent area, or you have a good chance to win a gunfight. And I keep saying it, all reliable. Queen's is going back to the Odin, but it's different though. It's not one of the normal Odin users. This is the Brim instead.
Yeah, they're switching up who's holding that Odin, so it's harder for the Terps to counter, and they have just got to, you know, understand where that Odin is and then respond is going to be the biggest thing here. They do have most of their players positioned towards B side, relying on KJ's utility to hold down A, and that does look like it's going to be a valuable play call as the attack is posted up right on the other side of the smoke. That Void is just waiting for a peek to come his way. Not going to get it though, as there is a quiet scale back into their own spawn and potentially towards this A site. And it will be the turret or the alarm bot that actually gets first read on this positioning, but Peach just being really patient, had a good eye on door there, but actually gonna get faked out by this slow retake. And now with that alarm bell sounding, all of the Terps are going to have to full scale rotate as quick as they possibly can back towards A site to defuse this spike.
Planted.
The nice thing is they can easily pinch here because of how many players are on site, but they just got to take care of this breach first. Salamander does just that, but the Odin's positioned right here. This is going to be a little annoying to deal with.
Oh, and it's just trades either way, but the Odin does give Queens the edge in the end of things when everything's said and done. It's all Cloud with a Spectre, which is not a good long-range weapon here, and he's met in a long-range fight, and that is gonna do it for Cloud, and it's gonna be Queens' first attack round win.
Yeah, the great thing is the Terps have already built up a nice looking bank, so they can start investing into some weapons. And like I said earlier, sun's out, guns out. You know, this is the time for the Terps to bring their guns, to bring their heavy artillery and push back the resilience of Queens.
Yeah, they've got to fight for these next couple of rounds. They've got to build up a lead if they want to start to think about just avoiding an overtime setting. And they're pretty much in the same position as they were in the last round, really relying on that cage utility to give them an early read onto this A side, as it's going to do shortly with this breach, triggering the alarm bot. Cloud's going to have that call out for the rest of his team to just help out on this A site, as it does look like it's not a fake and it is actually going to be an execute. Cloud stunned, still able to get that pick. It doesn't matter as Peaches is there to support just this defense here from up top onto heaven.
A Brimble here would be amazing.
Yeah, definitely. If that read is there, could certainly influence the course of this round. But the Terps have really good eyes on this spike. They're gonna throw that smoke down to even close off the Queens even more from any vision of this spike. Any hope of getting it back. Would not be surprised if they were just trying to save this Odin or just, you know, get a pick or two. But honestly, it might be wise for the Terps to try and hunt down the Odin. I know it's difficult because they're really doing or Queens is doing a really good job about not giving them any picks, any just visual on their positioning, forcing them, the Terps to actually swing out into them. But still, I would love to see this Odin just get taken down.
it's going to be a stalemate as we enter the last couple seconds of the round, and it will end up with Queen saving two guns, one being the Odin. You know, it's going to get into this late game here, so now this is where the ults start to come out, and it looks like the Terps are ahead just by a few points in terms of ults. So if they can get their ults rolling at least in the next round or two, they're looking at a pretty good, or they're setting up a pretty good basis for, you know, taking it to 12 and 13 rounds.
Terps have had a pretty good defense so far. Looks like this time they're trying to pull off a pinch, but they're left with an empty spawn. And they're caught miles away from where the pressure from the attack is actually positioned, which is going to be into B main and continued onto this B site. Finally, we see Peaches invest that Brimstone ultimate. He does get killed, but his ultimate stands and does a little bit of damage, I think, to that Jet. But meanwhile, the rest of his teammates are just dying because that Odin, just so deadly. We sound like a broken record, but man, that is really what this Queen's team is heavily relying on. And Spike is taking. Terps do not have a good numbers advantage. Their position is completely sold out already. Boy, just trying to use that Teho utility to give him any advantage he can, and it works out as he able to get a pick on that Jet, but I don't think it's going to be enough to come away with the round. And Queens will continue holding their lead after we saw things at an 8-8 scoreline. They step ahead.
And now it looks like they have the upper hand in terms of ults. They do have that breach ult to work with and the Cypher ult. Both are very, very useful tools. So again, it's going to be neck and neck. We might end up getting sent into overtime here. But this is the round that UMD has got to win. Otherwise, they're going to be sent into a save. They just won't have enough money to sustain the next few rounds.
All right, the attack going to be on B side for the second round in a row. Worked out beautifully for them in the previous round, but can Queens make this B site work again? Cloud having the confidence on this site, gonna spray through that smoke, not gonna quite find any picks as Taeho ultimate is invested for the Terps, but a counter ultimate's in order for Queens. Try and buy them more room up into mid. They're being really aggressive on the Terps, able to take down Cloud, Swirls, Void, Salamander. Finally is gonna be the one to respond as he finds 3. I think he must have gotten a collab there while we weren't looking, but oh my goodness, Salamander, great shots, and now he is left in a 1v1. He does have his ultimate, which I do like, and I think this is a case where, since the scoreline is so neck and neck, I could see him using that on one person.
I mean, same goes for the Jet. The Jet now has their ultimate, so it might be a 1-for-1 ultimate here.
And I think knowing that that ultimate is online, the Jet is going to play way off site to try and be able to avoid that breach ultimate that might come through. It looks like the Jet is convinced that it's going to be, you know, a wraparound towards that side of A, but they've got to watch out for Salamander coming through A main. Salamander looks like he's going to have to then get off the bomb and just enough time to hide, and is going to use that solo ultimate to buy enough time to work out the defuse.
Does he get it? He does get it!
Beautifully played from Salamander. He's coming clutch multiple times.
Multiple times. Wow. I mean, it was like so perfect in how that worked out. It was also a nail biter too, because there's a very, very slight opening in the eyesight that the Jet had on Salamander. So I was really worried. I'm like, is he gonna die? What's gonna happen? But no, he survived. Just
for a second, you thought Salamander would not come away with that round, but timing works out in his favor. But this round so far not looking good for the Terps. HP so low for the only 2 remaining defending Terps right now, or just running for dear life. to try and find some safety here on this A side and up through mid. It's just a race right now. Everyone just running all over the map trying to find them. And they do peek out. Looks like they're not going to peek together. Instead, they're going to try and, you know, maybe work a bait just to try and get a pick or two. But this is going to be a rough retake. Good shot from Void to start things off. He does end up getting traded. Now it's Salamander who does end up losing a Vandal. And you don't want to see those guns get lost as we near the late stages of this game.
Yeah, now Queens has 4 ults to work with. This is going to be a really hard round or next 2 rounds for the Terps because they're going against a full buy and 4 ultimates. That's going to be a very, very difficult challenge to overcome.
And they don't have a good buy either. They have pistols. So in a way, they're kind of, you know, giving up this round economy-wise, at least, saying we're not going to have the gun advantage. You know, we're going to have to pull off a thrifty to get this round win because they have confidence in the rounds to come. Yeah, Salamander swirls getting killed really early as they try and be aggressive right into A main. And the Odin just doing its thing, doing damage. Peaches gets killed. Just Queens is on the brink of a potential flawless. I doubt Cloud is going to try and save the pistol that he has. Just trying more valuable to get, you know, a pick or two.
He does have his ult, so there's no reason to play or play for kills here. So at the very least, he might be able to take 1 or 2 down, but is not able to, you know, with just the intrinsic range of the Classic. It's far too long to challenge that of a Vandal. So now we're getting to the last few rounds of this match. It's still a 2-round deficit.
Yeah, really close. Really close. It's been close all map here on Fracture. It's going to continue to be close as we near the end of the series. But who's going to have that last final push to give their team the edge to win this series? We're hoping it's going to be the Terps, but they have got to really get a handle on their defense here. Alright, a couple smokes to work through here for Queens. Doesn't look like they want to challenge B-side though in the face of all those smokes. Instead, they're going to kind of sit back, wait for the Terps to peek out, wait for them to make a move. The Terps are not going to give it to them. They're really being patient here on this B site, and they are maintaining their positioning on A because Queens has rotated a couple times, so they are not putting it beyond them to do so again.
Yeah, they do have the KJ ult to work with, so what they might be doing is playing a little passively, saving their bodies for one big fight for when chaos is instilled in Queens after the initiation of the KJ ult.
Right here.
Peaches trying to peek through and just clear that corner, but no one is there. But they're going to invest in Tail Utility just to make sure. Like you said, KG Ultimate does come down for the Terps. Swirls, Peaches finding 2 amazing picks to start off this retake. It's going to be countered, though, by this Tail Ultimate. Does a lot of damage to a couple of our Terps there, but still, Terps have managed to find their way on the site. Swirl's going to use that Neon Wall to try and defend the defuse, but no.
It was so close.
Oh my goodness, that was just like you said. The Terps are narrowly losing these rounds, and now they're at series point. They just gotta buy literally everything they can. Bulldogs, you know, regen shield, light shield, anything. It's gotta be perfect from here on out. And they're in the face of 2 Odins and, you know, full loadouts.
Yeah, at best they can try to get this Teho online, but even then, that's still a pretty big stretch. But they can get this breach ult Brimble online, but it's going to be a very quick plant by Queens, and now they have 40 seconds.
Get out of my way.
They have 40 seconds to completely rotate and kill everyone. It's going to be it's going to be a very big pinch.
And things look even worse as Cloud does get killed. Peaches responds, but does get traded, and things are looking dire for the Terps, and they will not win this series. But it was a very competitive series, at least for 2 maps. Things were really, really close, and you got to credit for the fight. You got to credit the Terps for the fight that they put up. Certainly throughout the series of it's not hard to lose. It's hard to lose a map 13-1 and still come back and fight in map number 3 like that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's just happens sometimes. Maybe it's not their night or something, but they definitely put up a great fight on both Icebox and Fracture. Like you said, Fracture is like one of the most controversial maps, and who likes it, who doesn't. I know the majority of people just don't like it because of how weird it is. In the sense that you can play attack on both sides, but it just comes down to who can get the pick at the beginning of the round, and that's kind of how most rounds are decided. I mean, not just in this game, but just like in every esports thing. Like you see, like pros, it comes down to the first pick. Ranked, it comes down to the first pick too. It's everywhere.
We want to thank you all for joining us tonight, and make sure you all tune in tomorrow. Huge Overwatch match tomorrow. Hayden will be observing, so he'll be back in the studio tomorrow. But yet again, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you all for some more Valorant next week.